I'm Buddy Stemple. I'm the CEO of Constellium Ravenswood. I want to thank you all for coming to join us today. Senator Capito, Secretary Salazar, Mayor Rader, Mayor Miller, other state, county, and local representatives, our distinguished guests from the United States Senate and the Department of Defense, and Jean-Marc, Germain, our partners, customers, and employees of Constellium, I welcome you. We're here to commemorate the revitalization of our coal mill, which will position Constellium for decades to come to provide armor products in a growing quantity and quality as our forces need. This event marks a major milestone in this cooperative venture between the Department of Defense and our company, Constellium Ravenswood. For more than a decade, Constellium's relationship with the Army Combat Capabilities Development Command, Army Research Laboratory, and the CDC Ground Vehicle Systems Center have grown into a true partnership to develop the next generation of alloys for their specific applications. This investment has already provided good construction jobs and will increase employment further as our new capabilities become clearly understood. The Ravenswood team has provided products to the U.S. military for decades to help defend our nation and, more importantly, protect our troops. We take our task of keeping our troops safe in the highest regards. This investment will allow us to continue our mission for years to come. We've seen that lightweight, high-performance aluminum armor is key to the survivability of our troops on the battlefield, protecting them from both blast and ballistic threats, and giving them a better chance to come home when their mission is complete. Specifically, cold-rolled aluminum plate is absolutely critical for the production of armored fighting vehicles and blast protection kits for tactical wheeled vehicles. For me, this journey began about 5 years ago. I want to recognize Ed Olivares from the Federal Business Group, who's been working with Constellium for many years. 5 years ago, we walked into the Pentagon, met with the Program Director for Title III Defense Protection Act to discuss this project, and thus the journey began. Since then, there have been many people who have helped us get to this point today. I will not try to individually recognize you all because I know I'll miss someone, but you know who you are. This has been a long journey, but always with your support every step of the way, and I thank you. So now let's move to the program. Here's what's going to happen this morning. After hearing from our distinguished guests, a few of us are going to go over to the mill, and we're going to live stream back on the screens here a ribbon cutting ceremony. Then we will return and we will start taking people over for a tour in smaller groups on a bus. So everybody will get to go and see the mill. The other thing, there's a small gift for each one of you. West Virginia 144-inch mill commemorative in the silver bags, made at the plant by the folks who work there. So make sure you grab one of those on your way out. So our first guest is U.S. Senator Shelley Capito. Senator was elected by the people of West Virginia to the United States Senate in 2014 and re-elected again in 2020. She is the first female U.S. Senator in West Virginia's history and was elected with the largest margin of victory for a Republican in state history, winning more than 70% of the vote in all 55 counties, surpassing the previous mark she set in 2014, where she won 62% of the vote in all 55% of the counties. After serving West Virginia's 2nd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives for 14 years, and as a member of the West Virginia House of Delegates for 4 years prior, Senator Capito decided to run for the Senate to be an even stronger voice for the Mountain State. She also saw an opportunity to restore order to a Senate stuck in gridlock for far too long. She believes that today's challenge demands bipartisan solution and cooperation across the aisle to advance legislation that benefits West Virginia and the country as a whole. Senator Capito is committed to being accessible and responsive to her fellow West Virginians and regularly travels with proper health and safety precautions in place to hear from and meet with West Virginians. Senator Capito serves on the Appropriations Committee, the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, the Environmental and Public Works Committee, and the Rules and Administration Committee. This committee portfolio puts her in a strong position to create new opportunities in the Mountain State and fight for West Virginia priorities, jobs, and families. As a member of the Committee of Appropriations, Senator Capito works to ensure West Virginia's priorities are represented when our nation's funding decisions are made. During her time on the committee, she served as chairs of the Legislative Branch Subcommittee, the Financial Services Committee, and General Government Subcommittee, and many, many other things. Now, the one story I want to tell about Senator Capito, when we got to the stage of appropriations, she says, buddy, I've got to come to the mill and see what I'm committing the U.S. tax dollars to. And she came for the visit, and I think that's all you need to know about Senator Capito. It says everything. Senator, thank you.
System here, but I am a little shorter, and thank you, Buddy, for not only that very lengthy, I leaned over and I said, I hope he doesn't read that whole bio, so apologies for that. But, you know, it's really special. When I read Buddy's full bio before I came over, last night I was reading it, and I realized what a great thing for us here in Jackson County in West Virginia to have somebody come home and to not just maintain the facility, but grow the facility, because we know it's in Buddy's heart. So thank you, Buddy, for what you do for Constellium. Jean-Marc, welcome back to West Virginia. We've seen each other in Washington, and the dedication of Constellium to the Ravenswood plant, I think, is emblematic, not just today, but on my other visits that I've been here before. And I am very, very pleased that the over 1,100 people, I think that's how high we are now that are working at the plant now, certainly appreciate not just the dedication of Constellium to this particular facility, but also to the modernization and to making sure that our workforce's health is safety and has a healthful way of pursuing their jobs. So thank you for making that trip. It's great to see Jesse Salazar from the Department of Defense. He, I think, is going to be a real leader here for us to be able to figure out the best way to modernize a lot of our manufacturing facilities, not just this one, but others that have maybe been rested. When did you tell me it was put in 1960? Yeah, we're replacing something that was put in 1960. Now, don't think that's such a great thing, because I was born in the 50s, and again, I don't want you guys to get any ideas. But anyway, you know, what are we talking about here? We're talking about not only wonderful jobs for our community, and many of you are here today, and many of you I've gotten to meet when I've been here, but also, like Buddy said, these are the materials that are going to protect our men and women serving in our armed forces. The plate, sheet, and coil products here are used in aerospace, defense, transportation, marine, and other industries. But these armor plates are used by the Department of Defense. And Jesse, thank you for committing today, and I know you'll be making another stop in West Virginia, so thank you for that as well. But it's something I think we all take great pride in. Certainly this part of the state has a great history in this manufacturing sector, and it's great to see that that's a continuation. So in 2019, when I had the chance to secure about $9.5 million in funding that this facility needed, I fought to make sure it was included in the Department of Defense appropriations bill. So it modernizes and upgrades the 144-inch mill for cold-rolled aluminum, and it allows for optimization of armor plate production, helping to ensure the safety of our armed forces. You know, it's kind of nice that we do that in West Virginia too. We have some of the highest. We're going to be celebrating solemnly Veterans Day on Thursday. It's a great day to open something and ribbon cut something that really does have a huge impact on how our troops are protected and how they're able to pursue their very, very, in some cases, very difficult job. Since then, we also secured another $4.5 million in the 2021 bill. So this is a significant milestone, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm going to take just a minute, because I chuckle in my bio. I might have to take that line out of my biography when it says I'm getting solutions to bipartisanship and we're all getting along together, because that may be a little bit, we'll have to put that on the stretcher and see if that's stretching the truth a little bit. But we did on, I think, the country and the state and the Congress as a whole, and the President Biden, really did, I think, capture a great victory when we passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill out of the House on Saturday. This is hundreds of millions of dollars. Remember those roads we travel every single day here in West Virginia. There's the water systems that we have in West Virginia that are antiquated, that either have lead or they have septic systems that have gone bad, or there's abandoned water systems. And the reason I'm so excited about this is because my position on the Environment and Public Works Committee, I'm the lead Republican there, and the core of this bill, not only did I start the negotiations with the president, but also the core of the bill is what we passed out of our committee. And I had my eye on West Virginia. There's a set aside for rural transportation. There's a set aside for abandoned water systems that we have a lot here in West Virginia. There's some specialized money in there for PFAS chemicals in our water system. So this is all good for West Virginia. Not only that, but there's massive broadband investments in this. Airport modernization, modernizing our transportation sector. So I think, there's been criticisms one way or the other, but you know what, anytime you can $500 million for bridges here in West Virginia alone. We have a lot of dilapidated bridges and some that are unsafe. And we've seen bridge collapse around the country. I want to see our bridges strong. It's going to mean jobs. It's going to be more jobs and more manufacturing here at Constellium too, as we create those jobs and create that modernized transportation core infrastructure systems that this bill will allow. So I'm very excited about that. I think it will have great impacts on our state and great impacts here right in Jackson. We've got some other good news, I think, coming in Jackson County. I'm pointing to the mayor of Ripley over there because she's always knocking on me about the water systems in Ripley. 24/7, the commissioners know exactly what we're talking about. But anyway, I just want to thank you again for all of your support, for all of your willingness to welcome me to the plant. I met many of you here. Everybody has a different kind of job and a different way to make this plant the superb plant that it is and has been. And you don't make investments like this in plants that aren't good, that aren't functioning, that don't have a future. And so I'm very excited to have been a part of this, and I look forward to many other such good news here in Jackson County and the surrounding area. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator. Also supportive to get us to today's events was Senator Joe Manchin. Equally, he helped and listened and provided his support along the way. And here to represent him today is Ben Spurlock, his regional representative. Ben?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ben Spurlock, and I'm a regional coordinator for United States Senator Joe Manchin. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the senator to celebrate the upgrades to the Constellium Ravenswood coal mill. The senator, unfortunately, sends his regrets that he was unavoidably unable to be here in person. However, he does send his best wishes and did send us along with a message to share with all of you. So please enjoy.
Hello, I'm United States Senator Joe Manchin. It is an honor to join you in celebrating the upgrades to the Constellium and Ravenswood coal mill. This event marks a major milestone in this cooperative venture between the Department of Defense and a key supplier of this critical material. Aluminum is an essential material not only for production of defense systems, but across nearly every manufacturing sector in the industrial base, including aerospace, transportation, electronics, shipbuilding, automotive, and the food and beverage industries, just to name a few. We have seen the lightweight, high-performance aluminum armor is key to the survivability of our troops on the battlefield, protecting them from both blast and ballistic threats, and giving them a better chance to come home when their mission is complete. In particular, cold-rolled aluminum plate is absolutely critical for the production of armored fighting vehicles and blast protection kits for tactical wheeled vehicles. Modernizing and upgrading this mill will not only result in significant increases in output to meet the growing requirements for cold-rolled aluminum by the Department of Defense, but will also enable the DoD Constellium team to develop new prototype manufacturing processes and mill products. This will ensure our women and men in uniform have the most advanced and highest performing aluminum in their vehicles, ships, aircraft, and equipment. Congratulations to all of you here in Ravenswood for a genuine accomplishment in revitalizing this piece of equipment and for your contributions every single day towards our national and our economic security. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Ben. Next is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, Mr. Jesse Salazar. Appointed in February of this year, Mr. Salazar serves as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Industrial Policy. In this role, he leads the industrial policy team as they assess, protect, and promote the defense industrial base. He advises the Undersecretary of Defense and Acquisition and Sustainment on the health of the industrial base to ensure a robust, secure, resilient, and innovative industrial capabilities upon which the Department of Defense can rely to fulfill current and future warfighter requirements. Prior to his appointment, Mr. Salazar led global external relations for the advanced industries practices of the McKinsey Company, where he managed the development and dissemination of vital industrial research on the automotive, machinery, advanced electronics, semiconductors, aerospace, and defense sectors, as well as the industry stakeholder engagement. He also worked on McKinsey's Advanced Industries COVID-19 Global Research Team and supported several industrial manufacturing research partnerships around the world, and many, many other things. So without further ado, Mr. Salazar.
Hello, and thank you all for inviting me to speak this morning. I'm very honored to be with you here today and to highlight the critical importance of Constellium to the national security community and the community here in West Virginia that it serves. The office I lead, the Office of Industrial Policy at the DoD, is dedicated to the health of the defense industrial base to ensure that we can meet warfighter requirements now and in the future. Key to the industrial health of our country is the health of our nation's supply chains. This is a top-of-mind issue in America in a way that it hasn't been for decades. Efforts are taking place across the federal government to make supply chains a priority. In Congress, we're seeing clear bipartisan alignment about the need to build production here in the U.S. and to strengthen our supply chains. The House Armed Services Committee recently released a bipartisan report on how we onshore certain critical industrial capabilities here to the U.S. and strengthen our supply chains. The White House has issued Executive Order 14017 on America's supply chains, and that order directed multiple federal agencies to work together to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure that these supply chains are able to meet our critical national security needs. And my office is leading the line of effort for this group on strategic and critical materials. And I'm grateful to have a team of patriotic colleagues who are helping me to work on this. And I also want to thank industry, which has really woken up to the need to safeguard its own supply chains. And we're seeing almost all companies in the industrial base really prioritize supply chain resilience as a governance priority at the board level, at the CEO level, and that's allowing us to accelerate our work in government. I'm really prioritizing working to embed supply chain resilience in the governance, budgeting, and structure of the Department of Defense. I'm pleased to see that this issue has become central to our national security and become a bipartisan focus. I truly believe that the greatest tool that we have in our fight to secure our supply chains is this bipartisan consensus, because it sends a clear signal to our adversaries that our nation is resolved to address this challenge. Our military relies on the contributions of the private sector and the value that it creates. More than 300,000 private companies constitute the defense industrial base, and they all work to ensure that our armed services have every advantage and capability that they need. Senator Manchin, Senator Capito, and I are here to say that we've got your back and we will provide every advantage possible. Those companies depend on the ingenuity, talent, and perseverance of their workers to provide the weapons and systems that keep our service members safe. These are our American manufacturers, factory workers, heavy machine operators, systems engineers, and coders. They put their skills and creativity into solving the great defense challenges of today and tomorrow. And our nation relies on them to dream up cutting-edge products, create and test prototypes, and make enough of them to be useful, all in a cost-efficient way, of course, for the taxpayer. We owe that to the taxpayer to make sure that we're safeguarding their dollars and being prudent in their use. These companies, like Constellium, allow us to leverage the best of American entrepreneurship to give our warfighters what they need to win the fight. An extraordinary effort goes into defense industrial work, and I'm grateful that so many here in West Virginia are delivering for our warfighters and the American people. With its diversity, scope, and capacity to innovate, America's defense industrial base remains the envy of the world, and we should celebrate when it helps us solve our security challenges. And that's why we're here at Constellium today. Today, we're here to recognize Constellium for its capacity to equip our troops with lightweight, high-performance aluminum armor. And my team knows that as a former industrial historian, I always have some anecdote from the past. So here it goes. So Napoleon recognized the value of aluminum. And so when he was trying to conquer Europe, he put his best scientists and industrialists to the task of figuring out how to make aluminum useful on the battlefield. And aluminum at the time was such a valuable mineral that nobody knew how to really process it, that it was actually more valuable than gold. And after he tried and tried and tried and tried and tried to figure out how to make aluminum useful, he ended up giving up. And he took all the aluminum that he'd processed, and he actually had it melted down and made into cutlery. So he gave forks and knives and spoons to his most trusted generals and his most valuable supporters that were made of aluminum, because gold was considered an insult in the face of aluminum, because aluminum was really the magic back then. And of course, because of some significant advances, the cost of aluminum and the processing of aluminum has gone down and down and down. But aluminum manufacturing, cold rolling, is critical for armoring US ground combat vehicles, constructing Navy ships, and building military aircraft. Aluminum is an essential material, not only for the production of defense systems, but across nearly every manufacturing sector in the industrial base. Aerospace, transportation, electronics, shipbuilding, food and beverage, automotive, just to name a few. All of them use aluminum in their production process, and the advancements here are also going to prove to help the US build its industrial competitiveness, which will lift all boats. So Constellium has competed and won a $9.45 million award to complete this cold rolling mill project through our industrial base analysis and sustainment program, one of my office's investment authorities. And as was said, this hasn't happened, this mill hasn't been upgraded since 1960. So this is a really important investment in our industrial base. Our industrial policy is focused on supporting and expanding reliable sources of material, supplies, equipment, and manufacturing capabilities within traditional defense manufacturing sectors. We are working to write down new advantages into the structure of the industrial base so that we can bring manufacturing back to the US. We have seen that lightweight, high-performance aluminum armor is key to the survivability of our troops on the battlefield, protecting them from blasts and ballistic threats, and giving them a better chance to come home when their mission is complete. In particular, cold-rolled aluminum plate is absolutely critical for the production of armored fighting vehicles and blast protection kits for tactical wheeled vehicles. I also want to thank Constellium for its work to train industrial workers and tell the story of modern American manufacturing. They've donated aluminum for machining and welding events that are training workers and getting people excited about manufacturing careers. In the DoD, in IBAS, and the Industrial Policy Office, we have a project called Project MFG, which is designed to shift the culture around manufacturing work so that young people know that manufacturing today doesn't look like manufacturing used to look. It is high-tech, it is creative, and it's a wonderful place, a wonderful way to build a lifestyle and a lot of happiness. Modernizing and upgrading this mill will not only result in significant increases in productivity to meet the growing requirements for cold-rolled aluminum by DoD, but will also enable the Constellium team to develop new prototype manufacturing processes and mill products that will ensure our men and women in uniform have the most advanced and highest performing aluminum in their vehicles, ships, aircraft, and equipment. And as they prototype and test and expand, they will have the workers who know how to do this and can provide greater value to the wider economy. We are thankful for the bipartisan efforts that made this industrial project possible. This event marks a major milestone in this cooperative venture between the DoD and a key supplier of a critical material. Congratulations to everybody here in Ravenswood. Your work is significantly advancing national security, and I thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Salazar. And a project like this does take a village. I'd like to specifically thank all of our West Virginia state representatives who are here today. And we have a video from the governor.
Hello, everyone. I'm Governor Jim Justice. Many sorries that I can't be there with you today, but what a day. What a day. Today is your celebration of the completion of your 144-foot cold rolling mill modernization project. You know, it is unbelievable to just think that you've been with us now 10 years in West Virginia. You employ so many people. It is unbelievable. The largest employer in Jackson County, 1,100 people. It is amazing the work that you do, and I could never be more grateful. I know you're joined today by a great senator, Senator Shelley Capito, and with all of that, I pay special thanks to your CEO, Jean-Marc Germain. And Jean-Marc, you know, we thank you so much, so much for believing and investing in West Virginia. I hope that you absolutely are so proud of that decision every day. Our people are craftsmen and they're good people. They know the difference between right and wrong, and they do good work. They absolutely are faith-based and good people. And so again, we thank you so much, each and every one of you in every way. I want to read just a little bit to you here. This is the background information that I have. Over 1,100 employees at Constellium, a plant located in Ravenswood, West Virginia, the world's largest rolled products facilities. You know, offering customers all across the spectrum, from aerospace to defense, to transportation, to marine, to other industrial uses. It is so impressive to think the plant houses 62 acres of production facilities on a 114-acre site. You just think about that. That's in West Virginia. And we absolutely have grown and absolutely continue to grow in every way in the state of West Virginia. But we don't make it. We don't make it without great partners and great companies like Constellium. So with all of that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's absolutely, I hate like crazy that I couldn't be there with you, but tell Shelley thanks for being there, and thanks so much for all you do each and every day. 1,100 employees, 1,100 families. It is an absolute contribution to this state off the chart. So many thanks. Thank you again.
Thank you, Governor. And our next speaker is a good friend of mine and my boss, Jean-Marc Germain. He has served as our CEO since 2016. Prior to that, he was the CEO of Algeco Scotsman, which is a modular secured storage facility globally across the world. He has held numerous positions in the aluminum industry and operations planning and strategy, and recently was the North American president for Novelis. He also worked internationally with the Bain Company and GE Capital. He's a graduate of École Polytechnique in Paris. Sorry about the French. All right. And he's both a French and American citizen. So Jean-Marc, thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Senator Capito, Secretary Salazar, Mayor Miller, Mayor Rader, our distinguished guests from the United States Senate and the Department of Defense, and employees, friends, family members of Constellium Ravenswood. 77 years ago, my dad came upon the first American he met in the fields of Normandy. And that German was coming from the US, obviously, with the 82nd Airborne. And he had come to liberate Europe from Nazi terror. 10 years later, my dad would be trained as a naval aviator in San Diego and Seattle. And these stories were with me for my childhood. And today, I can say I hold very dear a strong US defense system, and I am very thankful for all the Americans who serve in our armed forces. And I want to thank the 5 ladies and gentlemen at the back, the members of the US Armed Forces, for their service. Thank you. So it is with great pride that I'm with you today to cut the ribbon and celebrate the reopening of our now state-of-the-art 144-inch cold mill. We're here today because of the vital role that aluminum plays in the defense industry, and the prior speakers spoke about it eloquently. Clearly, for armored vehicles, armor plates, naval shipbuilding, defense, aerospace platforms, aluminum plays a critical role and cannot be replaced. So today we are placing back in operation one of only 2 defense-capable cold mills in the United States with fully modernized controls and processing equipment. So this is really advancing our ability to provide the materials that the US defense system needs. And as we do that, that will also allow us to continue work on prototyping the next generation of alloys, plates, that will be needed for the next challenges or the higher needs that the Department of Defense will have. So this milestone that we're reaching today was made possible by a team effort that truly demonstrates the value of public-private partnership for our industrial base. Working together with the Department of Defense, we identified the risk to production of a critical defense material and a pathway to mitigate that risk. Our 2 senators, recognizing the importance of this specific material and the vital importance of the aluminum industry to the US industrial base, worked with the department to ensure that the resources were available to address the potential shortfall before it reached a critical stage. So working together, we are able to modernize the 1950s era mill and bring it into the 21st century. This is quite an incredible achievement. We are proud of the partnership with the Department of Defense, and with the support of the senators and the community, we will continue to ensure that this availability of aluminum for our national security continues and thrives, so that we continue to bring to market better products all the time. So thank you, Senator Capito, and thank you to Senator Manchin and to your outstanding staff for making this possible. Thank you also, Secretary Salazar and Ms. Ratcliffe, to your teams for your guidance, assistance, and no doubt patience. I mean, as Buddy was saying, it was 5 years ago that it all started. So as we developed our action plan and we proposed to restore this mill, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank you for all the support that your teams are providing to us as we manage other current challenges like the scarcity of magnesium, which is also a critical element for all aluminum applications. So thank you for that. And finally, I'd like to thank the state of West Virginia and the representatives of Jackson County for your continued support and for making Ravenswood a great place to live, work, and raise a family. We are proud to be part of this community. We look forward to growing with you, And if you have friends, do know that we are still hiring. We still have 30 or 40 jobs open. So, of course, thank you to the Constellium team here in Ravenswood. As some speakers noted, it is much easier to commit capital to a plant where you got not only the right equipment, but more importantly, the right people that take it very seriously that the success of the plant is the success of the whole community. And so thank you very much for your continued commitment to this plant. And now I have to say I cannot wait to cut the ribbon. So before I hand back to Buddy, I want to congratulate everyone who has worked tirelessly to help us rebuild this new wonderful mill. And I would like to extend to each of you my sincere thanks and admiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. So before we head up to the plant, I would like to thank some other folks here. I'd like to thank all of my team that are here today. We've all got the same shirts on, so you can pick them out over there. I'd like to say thanks to my wife who puts up with me all the time, sitting back there. Everybody stand up from the team. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.